Hello, my friends, and welcome to MSP Unplugged. I'm your host, Rick Smith. This is the place to learn how to run and grow your managed service business, whether you're a one-person shop or leading a team for the journey. This is the place for you. First, we want to give a shout out and welcome our sponsor of this episode, SuperOps, the AI-powered PSA RMM platform designed for fast-growing MSPs. They provide a lean and powerful way to engage with clients and grow your revenue. Head over to the link down in the show notes to start your trial of SuperOps AI. Hey, I want to introduce to you first and foremost, as always, my co-host, Mr. Paco Lebron. How are you, sir?
Oh, you know what I like to say, Mr. Smith, better than good, better than most.
We're good, very good. Now, you guys can hear all the activity in the background here. We are broadcasting from the Channel Partners Summit and Expo in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, before we get started, we got a special guest here with us today. Someone decided to join us, which we're very grateful for. But before we get there, we want to talk about one other thing that's coming up that's very important to my heart and yours too, right, Mr. Paco?
Oh, you must be talking about one of my favorite things.
Yes, sir. What would that be?
That's got to be TechCon Unplugged.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. TechCon Unplugged 2024. It's going to be in the greater Washington, D.C. area, September 12th to the 14th at the hotel at Arundel Preserve. For those of you who know, TechCon is our annual, what we call our family gathering. We bring like-minded business owners, vendors in the space for a weekend packed with resources to help you grow your IT business and thrive as you go. Excuse me for that. Your tech includes access to 25 plus educational sessions, 2 networking events and after-hour entertainment, all expo hall meals, refreshments, and happy hours, automatic interest into the generous show raffles and giveaways. And you get to walk away, probably just the most important thing, with some concrete action ideas to help you grow your business and take it to the next level. Now, our discount tickets are still on sale until May 31st, so we encourage you to head over to techconunplugged.com. And we look forward to seeing you there. Now, I'd like to introduce our guest. For some of you who are members of TechCon, you might know this face. You might know this gentleman, Mr. Mark Copeman. He's the director at Wingman MSP Marketing. How are you today, Mark?
I'm good. I feel like I need a box to stand on. You know, if you are actually watching this, I'm a little bit short today, but there we go. But I'm good. It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on. For those who don't know you, can you give us a little background on who you are, your little story, and how you got into the channel and what you do now?
Yeah, absolutely. I like so many people, I kind of fell into it almost by accident, and I'm so glad I did. I built a business, founded a business in 2010 called Customer Thermometer. It was kind of the world's first one-click feedback tool, the smiley faces, which are quite common today. And we designed it for marketing agencies, but within about a year, we realized all these things called MSPs were starting to sign up. It was like, wow, what is this? And so really from 2011 onwards, I just fallen in love with this industry. And after exiting that business, I built a program called Help Desk Habits, which helps technicians and engineers how to get better at customer service and deal with customers. And really over the last 18 months, my real love, I guess, is marketing. Always has been. I've had a couple of marketing agencies over the years. And I'm now part of Wingman, as you just mentioned. I'm the front of house guy. I get around and I go to cool events like this and I get to speak and I get to talk to lots of people. And my brilliant colleague, Dave, my business partner, has the responsibility with our team of 20 or so to deliver the marketing programs for our MSP clients.
Okay. Now, at Wingman, one of the biggest things, I know you saw is just seeing you do the reviews on TechCon, right? Yeah. And I think about all the time that I'm one of those people who built his own website. I keep saying every month I'm going to get the courage up to submit it so that you can tear it apart during the TechCon, during one of your reviews. But I find that it's been very helpful. And I know there's been plenty of MSPs who've come on, who've improved their websites based on what, some of the suggestions you've given. Now, when doing that, we really wanted to talk about, this our side of the industry now, the smaller MSPs, the emerging MSPs, having a presence on the web, right? And building that. When we're seeking to do that, what do you think some of the first steps we should be thinking about when building a website and trying to build presence?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I'm glad that you love the reviews. I genuinely love doing them, actually. And I love doing the shorter ones too. I sometimes guest on webinars and we do like 3 or 4 minutes. People are brave enough to put in their URLs into the chat. But where we always start with this stuff is to forget the website completely, first of all. There's so many people that choose to rush in and like mouse, keyboard, let's find a theme, let's make stuff look pretty. But actually, so many of the problems stem from the fact that people jump in too soon. So where to start, Rich? Start right at the very beginning. Try and figure out who your target market is. Try and figure out what your proposition is, what you stand for as a business, the sorts of messages that you want to give out to the world. And so where to start? Start in the paper first. And only once you've really understood what that message is and who you're going to be talking to, can you even begin to think about how that might manifest itself on a screen, and actually build out that website. So yeah, start right at the beginning. And that's where we absolutely advise MSPs to do that when we work with them. Let's get right back to basics, get that foundation right before you go any further.
Now, Mark, when you mentioned going ahead and putting it on paper, are you talking about wireframing the thing? Or are you really referring to the goals and what they're trying to do as their outgoes, really what they're trying to drive from the website?
The latter, absolutely. Yeah, a Word document, really that simple. And it does amaze us that so many people just ignore that first part of the jigsaw. And what's also interesting, even businesses that have been established for 5 years, 10 years, who are perhaps reached a moment where they think, see, I'm not quite sure where we're going. It's actually quite therapeutic to sit back, take a day out with the team, lie on the chaise long and get someone else involved to ask some questions if need be, but to reevaluate where you're heading. Because things change. Businesses change, the marketplace changes, technology changes. And so just because you knew where you were heading 3 years ago, 5 years ago, doesn't mean to say that's right now. We're working with a number of different businesses who have pivoted quite recently. They've stumbled across a vertical which they start to see some traction in, and so have decided to go all in. Fascinating. So yeah, once in a while, step back, but forget the wireframes, Paco. Just let's get to those a bit further down the track.
Now, here's a question. Like, Paco and I do things that are good. I love to be hands-on with them, so I wanted to build, control, maybe I'm just a control freak, and do it myself.
Me too.
You think? And, Paco has hired someone who does and manages his website. Is there, I know from a professional standpoint, it's going to be an advantage that a professional is going to be able to design it better.
Sure.
But do you have is there a bigger difference? Like, do you have a recommendation? Should we be outsourcing this, or should we
That's a good question. I'm not going to give a biased answer because I run an agency which helps people to do it.
Right.
And really, for me, I think it comes down to budget, and I think it comes down to the maturity level you're at.
Yeah.
And if you are just starting out and you have got no funds, then yeah, it makes sense to give this a go. But the same principles apply, though, as what I just said. You've still got to get this right on paper. But could you then go and fire up a Wix instance and drag and drops and stuff around? Yeah, absolutely. Start with a one-pager. You don't have to create a 20-page website on day one. You've probably not got that much to talk about.
Right.
So, yeah, starting point, why not? In theory, it will always look better, feel better. You'll be helped through that process if you do try and outsource it. But for me, yeah, it comes down to what fits for you at that particular point in time. And the last thing I'll say on this, we've said to some startup MSPs, some solopreneur MSPs, do you know what? Sure, we don't want to take that money because we're better off investing it somewhere else. And, go grab that Wix instance and go and do this yourself. But hey, here's a bit of advice. So yeah.
Yeah, and I know from it, I'm speaking, I watch all of the reviews, and I know the first step you take is looking at presence, right? How long you've been in business. We talk about, and Paco and I did a show on this about getting reviews, because I know you always say if you've been in the business this long, you should have X amount of reviews, and we try to stress that, but just to putting on this, let's let them know how important that is as we're trying to build presence before you even get. Because I say it this way because I look at the way you talk about it before you even get to actually doing the website. We're talking about your Google page and your LinkedIn page and things like that before. So just speak a little bit about how important that is before we get to the next slide.
Yeah, sure. And you've really been paying attention. Wow. And it's great when you receive that feedback that people are getting something from this. It means the world. So thank you. So yes, I talk about online presence. The first thing I always do before I review any site is what any prospect looking at your business would do, and that is to Google you. That's why I do it. And I do these reviews with my prospect hat on, if you like. So few things come from that. Google the name of your business. Do you come up as number one? And for your brand, your business name, you absolutely should do. If you do, does your Google business profile panel come up on that right-hand side? If it doesn't, then you need to look at what's going on there. Sometimes it's just a bit weird. Other times there's good reason. For me, the reason that Google business profile page is so important, it shows that you're a professional outfit. You're not just a couple of folks in the back room.
Mm-hmm.
And you are, as an MSP, you are selling trust. And that's the first step to that sale. Secondly, part of that Google business profile, as you quite rightly said, Google reviews, for me, are everything. Because again, if other people are saying great things about you, that's way better than you saying or claiming great things about you. But the other really interesting thing which is coming into play, and we've been doing some work on this even in the last month, the importance of Google reviews when applied to search engine optimization. And look, it just makes sense. If Google is seeing signals that there's people out there saying great things or bad things about you, then it makes sense that the algorithm will reflect that in where you rank. So have a program in place to get those Google reviews coming through. That's a kind of another conversation. But yeah, online presence, Google business profile, Google reviews, all part of the same thing. Check you come up as number one for your brand. There's too many people still that chosen names which are too generic, so they don't even appear on the first page of Google, like number one. Crazy. Change your name. And then perhaps the final point I'll make is, and you touched on it, is around your social media presence as well. In fact, Google Business Profile announced some stuff today around social media. It's going to start to integrate the two a little bit closer, which is fascinating. Make sure your social media channels are consistent, they've got the right branding on, and you look the part. You look like a business that is in business and didn't go out of business 3 years ago the last time you posted something.
Right. Yeah, I know.
I got a quick question for you, Mark. Now, my question for you, you mentioned obviously reviews, right? And reviews are such a key part, but specifically Google reviews. Now, are all review platforms performing the same way and driving some of that authority? For example, we see review sites such as clutch.co, UpCity, things of that nature, which we've been told that brings a lot more managed service providing leads, more quality than it is quantity that coming in. What's your opinion on other review sites, and do they show or have some of the same authority that Google reviews should be providing into that ecosystem?
Yeah, Trustpilot is another one.
Yep.
I think there's certainly evidence that having good review rankings on those different platforms feeds into the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you've got to consider where your prospects are going to be looking. Would a prospect, and I don't know, this is an open question actually, would a local CPA firm, would they go on Clutch to find a local IT provider?
Sure.
Possibly not.
Yeah.
Possibly. I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Sure.
So I think this boils down to, where do you put the effort in? Every single review you get, in theory, requires effort, because few people leave reviews without being asked. And if you're going to ask somebody, you need to ask them kind of once to do it in the one place that's your preferred area. Now, if you're seeing traction, I mean, Bing, as an example, pulls through Chamber of Commerce reviews. I don't even know where they are, where they're actually inputted, to be honest with you, but that's a thing. Facebook, there's all sorts of places that do it. So I think if you've got one focus, for me, it'll be Google.
Okay.
But that's not to say you should let the other ones languish.
Sure.
It's a factor of time and energy, I think.
So I have a follow-up question to that as well. So there are those in our audience that have either break-fix shops, running hybrid, or trying to transition from break-fix to managed services and being a true player of MSP and managed services space. Now, what I have heard and what I've seen is that sometimes they have put an effort into their Google reviewers, and some will have 50, 60, etc. But the majority of them are all break-fix, right? And so in the Google searches, obviously with that presence that they've invested in, is not coming over for break fix versus managed services. Is there an effort outside of just you got to rework that system and put the effort back into your managed service clients to leave those reviews to kind of tailor the algorithm? Or is there any other additional things that you can mention that may help kind of turn that tide from being break fix needs to actually managed services possible read from?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. This actually comes up quite a lot in our world. I checked this out a few weeks ago. Last calendar year, I had conversations with 320 different MSPs around the world. Extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. And many of those were going through the same situation you just talked about there. So there's been a handful, even in the last month, we've had this conversation with you. And they've got actually quite a successful, and it's beyond break fix. Some people have physical shops still, and so they're dealing business to consumer. People are bringing their laptops in and they're literally fixing them.
Sure.
And they've got a very successful business, but they're looking to transition. And my argument, and they say, Mark, how can we do that? And my argument is, if their website and the reviews associated with it are focused on that consumer marketplace, there's pictures of the physical shop on the website, there's prices of fixing that cracked cell phone screen or that bad the laptop, the hard drive's failed, then leave that where it is. If you're going to continue down that path, that's absolutely fine. But consider, and I really do think you should consider, build something out separate for the new MSP business that you're looking to transition to. And the reason, my rationale for that is very simple. If you are focusing on a different target audience,
Sure.
you have to create something different. Otherwise, your message gets diluted. You can't have a picture of someone fixing up a hard drive and looking to sell compliance and cybersecurity services to government agencies, right? They just don't sit nicely. Now, to come back to your Google review question, if you're going to build two separate sites, you need to start again on the Google reviews, really. If you do decide just to morph the existing business, and you've already got 60 or 70 reviews, that's amazing, but build on it would be, because that's a marketing asset. Don't throw it away, but make sure the last 6 months or years worth of reviews aren't talking about broken hard drives. They're talking about compliance, cybersecurity, and so on and so on.
Yeah, it's that transition is a real challenge for us. You know, I personally, we both did this. I was a break shop for 12 years before I converted to MSP. So, and still now the majority of the reviews I have are still referring to the break fix. Now, we're going to take a quick break right here, and then we're going to come back and ask you a question about actual websites. We're just going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, SuperOps.
Are you tired of dealing with outdated PSA RMM solutions that come with a hefty implementation cost, complicated setups, and pricing structures that don't quite fit your needs? It's time to make a change. Meet SuperOps, a future-ready PSA RMM platform that streamlines IT operations, enhances customer support, ensures security, and boosts client satisfaction. With SuperOps, you get a PSA, RMM, IT documentation, network monitoring, and project management all in one place. Automation of repetitive tasks, enhanced productivity, and reduced errors. You get actionable insights with proactive monitoring to prevent issues. And one of my favorite things, dedicated support from a team committed to your success. SuperOps also offers transparent pricing, putting you in control of your costs. So what are you waiting for? Try SuperOps today for free and evaluate your MSP operations.
Okay, and we're back. Mark, before the break, we talked about
It was like, I'm just asking someone to take a photo. So
okay.
I feel like I'm, on a film set. This is great. I just had to capture the moment. There we go.
Folks, we're not going to edit this. We're going to leave it just like it was.
That's it.
Here's the joys of life.
The joys of being live. So, Mark, I just wanted to ask, as we talk about, we talk about the online presence, trying to, get that set. Now, when we talk about websites, and I'm cheating because I'm watching all your stuff, so I know a little. So as I'm reviewing my website, I'm watching, and I'll just tell everybody at home, I'm taking a note, take this off the site, add this, take this off the site, because I'm paying with it. We're still trying to fill a work in progress. But one of the things you talk about and we know it to be true, is representing the company for who you are, and not stock photos, not, so you go to my website now, there's a big picture of me in the front because I am the front of the front of the business. But just speak to how important that is, and the difference between that and essentially using stock photos or not showing who you really are.
So, Rich, I think in our industry, for until I'm no longer part of it, and I'm whenever that might be, people will always buy from you. I mentioned earlier, I think we're in the business of selling trust. So it's not a transactional thing. Certainly when that initial contract is signed. So the sooner you can introduce people into the process, the sooner you can start to show that you are a real business, people who care, that isn't working out of a back room in a basement somewhere, ideally, and I know everyone has to start somewhere.
Right.
But as soon as you have that physical presence, ideally, you have a small team of people, then demonstrate that you've got that personality. Demonstrate you've got those people who are looking forward to taking care of you as that prospect coming through. And that's one of the ways you can begin to differentiate. If all of your competitors around the corner have got the white tooth people, you have to bring in that phrase, don't we? The white tooth people, and that lack of authenticity, then what's to attract them to start that conversation? Surely they're going to start the conversation with a business that has that kind of welcoming face, that friendly face. So, yeah, I think it's super important. And to preempt another question you might ask, if you are on your own, if you are a solopreneur and you don't have a team, and you are working out of a back room, as I say, everybody has to start somewhere, then make the site about you to start with. Get a handful of professional photos taken of you, invest $200-300 in a photographer and make the site about you on day one. Why? Because people are buying from you. So what's the point of not including you on the site, So I'm absolutely passionate about that. We see it working, and let's continue to banish the white tooth people.
Got a question there, buddy? Oh, shit. Okay. I do have one more thing I want to ask. And this is just something that we get it from some people. You should. What is your feeling about putting in a welcome video or introductory video on the homepage or somewhere inside?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, video works if it's done right. If it's here's a script, AI generator, now pump out a video. For me, no. If you're going to do video, make sure you do it well. And I think on a homepage, it makes sense. Probably not on that above the fold area, that first part you see before you start scrolling down. I would allow words and pictures to tell your story first of all. Maybe halfway down that homepage, it might make sense to bring in that About Us video. If it looks good, if it's up to date, if it's not hosted on YouTube, host it using a Vimeo type service. Just looks more professional. Include it on your YouTube channel, but don't allow that watch on YouTube button to appear, because suddenly people are off watching cat videos and they've forgotten about you.
They've left you, right? So,
yeah, absolutely video. And then the other point about video, and I'm just hugely passionate about this subject. Get a video testimonial on there as well, which is actually easier to do than an About Us video. About Us videos are quite tricky, but a testimonial video, super easy in theory. And a minute or two, let someone else say amazing things about you. And it's like, wow, okay, if that's on that page, then you guys clearly are serious. You're credible. I'm starting to develop trust. So testimonial was great.
Now,
well, I was going to ask, I was like, we've talked about a lot of the benefits and the pluses of what we should do as far as best practices. But is there something that just drives you absolutely nuts that is either antiquated or old advice that they received that people are still doing on their websites?
Ooh, I got to think about that one. That's a really good question. So the first and obvious one, which really isn't the end of the world, but it just super annoys me, is in the footer, copyright 2018. As we record this, it's 2024. Okay? So, I joke about it, but actually, if you can't get that detail right, what else is going on behind the scenes in your business? So just 1st of January, follow me on LinkedIn. You'll see a warning. Okay? I do that every year. So yeah, footers, let's get that right. I still see references to COVID on some sites. It was a terrible, terrible time. And a lot of MSPs did amazing things during that period of time. But we don't need to talk about it anymore. Again, it looks like you're out of date. Link to that. What also drives me crazy, latest news. When you see a blog post from 2020. So if you're going to have latest news, for goodness sake, make your latest news. These are all tiny, tiny things. They really are. Let me think of a bigger one to finish that answer with. I guess there's a few. I think we've not yet talked about it, but I think the lack of a way of engaging that call to action, and just a bad contact us form and expecting people to drop everything and give them your email address. I don't see that work.
Very good.
Well, yeah, and so you giving away a lot of secrets, and I appreciate it there. But you want to tell us a little bit about how? Well, I guess two things. One, I know you got a book, right? You got a book, yeah. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, you know what? Amazingly, I somehow managed to write 3 books. I started with the Help Desk Habits book, which turned into the online program. And then, in fact, it was just before COVID. I just had the idea, this community we're in, and you know what? It's all around us right now, this event. It blows my mind at the collaboration that goes on. And I thought, I'm just going to try and bring some ideas together from people. I had no ulterior motive. You certainly don't get rich from self-publishing a book on Amazon. So yeah, I curated a book called MSP Secrets Revealed. In October of 2023, I published episode 2, which is much the same thing. And it's been amazing. Between those 2 books, there are 168 contributors, including a couple from the channel chief, the sponsor of this show, Mr. Fernandez. It's just been a real privilege to curate that knowledge. And what's fascinating too is there's deliberately conflicting advice in these books. So you read one secret and following it directly, someone thinks the opposite. And I think this is a great point to take away, is that there are no right answers, but there are better ways of doing things depending on who you are as an individual and what your business is all about. And so I really believe learning from others in this industry, going to these conferences and not just sitting in the back of an email, but actually listening and then taking action when you get home is absolutely key to success. So yeah, there we go. Thank you for allowing me to plug.
Yeah, sure.
You can get it on Amazon. Funnily enough, I was about to say all good bookshops. That's not true.
We will have a link to it in the show notes there, so if anyone's interested, we'll definitely have a link for it there. Paco, any last questions here?
No, I think we've really dove into quite a bit of really more of the best practices, but really we want to make sure that we allow for a couple of things. One, the ability to be able to engage with Mark and what his service is and what he has to do. 2, shout out to the Tech Tribe and really what they're trying to do in their community. And again, we've all been discussing on how all communities are starting to collaborate with one another, and really just information is no longer siloed. We're all really trying to bridge that gap. So appreciate Mark's time to we'll just share that, and also for the listeners, be able to go ahead and engage and share that with them as well. That's what I got for you.
And Mark, before we go, just give us a little bit about Wingman and how you can help MSPs who may not want to take these steps that we're talking about themselves.
Space.
Yeah, sure. If you go to wingmanmspmarketing.com, we try to practice what we preach on our website as well. Otherwise, guess what? We hit us up on it. And in that top right-hand corner, there is a call to action, which is what we recommend to all MSPs. And on it is grab your free website review. That's a great way to engage with us. Because what we'll do is we'll do you a quick 7, 8, 9, 10 minute video and explain how we think things could be improved. And beyond that, If you like what we have to say and you want to start a conversation, it's a kind of phrase, then yeah, we'd be glad to have a chat. But yeah, we are a full service marketing agency. We start at the foundation. We have a thing we call the MSP Marketing Operating System. And we work through that. Our services are aligned to those various boxes. But I guess my final message is don't do what sadly so many people do is they start at the top of the model and they do things like pay-per-click and they drive traffic to terrible pages with websites which just don't work, and then they wonder why they're literally burning money.
Yes.
So whatever you do, if you're doing this alone, you're working with an agency, you're working with us, get the foundation right and then build on it from there. Guys, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. We invite everyone to tune in every week and watch the video podcast on youtube.com/MSP Unplugged. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, hit that notification button to be notified whenever a new episode's available. If you think we have the face for radio, I know Paco does. I know I'm more pretty, but you can also take us on the go. We're in your favorite podcatcher apps. We're on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, just to name a few. For Mark, Paco, and I, we want to thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on MSP Unplugged.